Common childhood beliefs that are still controlling your adult life. Some of your life choices weren't made by you. They were made by your 7-year-old self, and that kid was terrified of disappointing adults. Think about that for a second. The version of you that believed in Santa, thought cooties were real, and cried when they lost a crayon. That version is still influencing the decisions you make now. The way you avoid conflict, crave approval, or feel guilty resting. That's not adulthood. That's a scared kid inside you, still trying to be the good one. The praise trap. You ever feel weirdly guilty for resting? Like your brain whispers, you should be doing something right now. That's not ambition. That's a feedback loop from your childhood. Back then, you were taught that being good meant being useful. Clean your room? Praise. Get straight A's? Praise. Be quiet while adults talk? Praise. You weren't learning responsibility. You were learning performance equals love. Now fast forward. You're working overtime, triple booked, emotionally fried, but deep down, you still think stopping makes you lazy. You don't crave rest. You crave approval. The adult version of a sticker chart. And when no one's clapping, you feel like something's wrong. Even your phone is wired into it now. Every like, view, and comment feels like a grown-up version of a gold star. You've been trained to feel empty without applause. Rest isn't rest. It's guilt in disguise. Saying no makes you selfish. You say yes when you want to say no. You agree to things you'll resent later, not because you're easygoing, but because you're scared of being seen as selfish. As a kid, no wasn't a choice. It was defiance. Don't talk back. Do what you're told. Stop being difficult. You weren't taught boundaries. You were taught compliance. Now, you flinch when you disappoint someone. You feel guilty setting limits. You apologize just for having needs. You think kindness equals self-sacrifice. You'll give your time, your energy, your peace, and call it being a good person. But really, you're just afraid that saying no makes you unlovable. The truth? No is not rejection. It's self-respect. And if someone can't handle your boundary, they were only ever okay with your silence. Stranger danger still owns you. Ever second-guess a message before you send it? Rehearse what you'll say to the barista? Feel drained after one small social interaction? That's not just introversion. That's legacy code from the stranger danger era. As a kid, every unfamiliar face was a potential threat. Teachers, parents, cartoons, they all warned you. Don't talk to strangers. Keep to yourself. Be polite, but not too open. You weren't learning boundaries. You were learning fear, and now, that fear still shows up. In dating, networking, job interviews. Every new person feels like a risk, like they're watching, judging, measuring. Your brain still thinks talking to strangers equals danger, so it plays defense. Awkward silences, overanalyzing texts. That's not you being weird. That's your nervous system following childhood protocol. You're not bad at socializing. You've just been trained to avoid it. Fear of getting in trouble. You ever flinch when someone uses that tone? Or over-apologize for stuff that isn't even your fault? That's not conflict avoidance. That's childhood fear conditioning. Back then, getting in trouble didn't just mean punishment. It meant public shame. Red ink on your homework. Getting sent to the hallway. A disappointed adult voice that made your stomach drop. You learned early, being wrong equals being bad. So now, even as an adult, your brain panics when you're challenged. Someone critiques your idea, you spiral. Someone raises their voice. Your whole body tenses like you're about to get grounded. At work, you'll say, "That's fine," when it's not. You'll stay quiet in meetings even when you have the answer. In relationships, you'll backpedal just to keep the peace. Not because you're passive, but because deep down, conflict still feels like punishment. You weren't taught how to handle disagreement. You were trained to avoid disappointment. Your brain still thinks disapproval equals danger. A success means being liked. You ever downplay a win? Say, I got lucky when you crushed it? Or shrink in a room just so people won't think you're too much? That's not humility. That's survival strategy, learned young. When you were a kid, standing out felt dangerous. Too confident, show off, too proud, full of yourself, too loud, attention-seeking. So you learned, blend in, be likable, don't disrupt the vibe. Now, that script's still running. You hit a milestone and immediately deflect. You're in a meeting and let someone else speak first. You'd rather be accepted than celebrated, even if it means hiding your brilliance. And if you're a creative or entrepreneur, you know your work is good, but you still hold back. You self-censor, soften your message, play it cool. Because deep down, part of you still thinks success comes second to being liked. You post your art and brace for criticism. You talk about your wins like they were accidents. You shrink before anyone else gets the chance to do it for you. That's not strategy. That's self-protection dressed up as humility. Rules over logic. Ever follow a rule you know makes zero sense? Just because it's the rule? That's not logic. That's obedience conditioning. As a kid, you weren't taught why the rules existed, just that breaking them meant punishment. Don't question the teacher. Raise your hand. Ask permission to use your own body. Even when the rule was useless, you obeyed, because disobedience meant you were bad. Now, that same wiring shows up in college forms that make no sense. Corporate policies that waste your time. Group projects where you do all the work, but still wait to be graded. You wait for permission to ask for a raise. You keep silent in broken systems because that's how it's always been. You follow outdated rules to avoid rocking the boat, even when the boat is clearly sinking. Because deep down, challenging authority still feels like danger. Your adult logic says, this is dumb. But your inner child whispers, don't get in trouble. Emotions make you weak. Someone asks how you're feeling and you say, I'm fine, even when you're falling apart. Not because you don't feel, but because you were taught not to show it. As a kid, crying got you scolded. Getting upset, labeled too much, showing fear, seen as weakness. You learned, hide it, smile, move on. Now, you're emotionally fluent in sarcasm, silence, and distraction, but not in honesty. In relationships, you push people away when you need them most. You ghost when you feel vulnerable. You downplay your needs to avoid being a burden. You'd rather bottle things up than risk looking emotional. If you're a parent, you might even find yourself saying the same phrases you hated hearing. Stop crying. You're okay. Toughen up. Not because you mean to, but because emotional shutdown got passed to you like a family heirloom. You weren't taught how to feel safely. You were taught how to hide efficiently. And now your nervous system treats emotional honesty like a threat. So, if your life is being steered by childhood beliefs, who are you really when you're not trying to be the good kid? That question isn't rhetorical. It's your next chapter. Because unlearning isn't about rebellion. It's about reclaiming control from the scared little voice that's been making your decisions for years. Part 2's coming, and yeah, it's going to hit even harder. Follow if you're ready to rewrite the script.